back to our channel. So in the previous session we have seen the structures concept, and now we'll go with the object oriented concept. So that is introduction to classes and objects. So here the C++ supports the object oriented programming. So object oriented programming means we can write the classes and objects. So everything can be implemented with the help of these objects. Right? Now we'll see what is a class and objects. So class is a physical entity. Object is a logical entity. A class is a blueprint. Object is an instance of a class that follow blueprint. Right? So class is a structure and object is an instance of the class which follows that structure. So class is a physical entity, object is a logical entity. See, for example, if you write some human, or you can go with the teacher, right? Teacher is a class. So teacher can have the properties, different properties and different methods, right? And a logical entity is Sundeep. Sundeep is a teacher. Sundeep is an object, so which follows the properties of a teacher. Similarly, see, a class can have attributes and methods or functions. So teacher is a class. Attributes. So specialization, comma, experience. So all these are the attributes of a teacher, right? Qualification, and functions. Teach, read, write, explain. So there are different functions can be applied for the teacher. Similarly, this is an object. Sundeep is an object of a teacher, class teacher. So Sundeep is an object which is a logical entity which is having the specialization, experience, qualification, etc., right? And coming to this one, so can read, write, explain, right? Read, write, explain. So Sundeep can read, write, explain. So Sundeep is a object, teacher is a class. So similar to a Sundeep, there will be some other a teacher called ABC. So ABC will be having some experience, some specialization and some qualification. ABC will be having read, write, explain and so on. Alright. So one class can have a multiple instances. One class can have a multiple objects. Right? See. Just similar to our structure, class will be also having the attributes and methods. So the class name, attributes, methods. right? So we can't access these attributes and methods directly, just like a structure. So how the structure variables can be accessed? Through the structure, I mean structure members can be accessed only through structure variables. Similarly, in order to access these variables and methods, these attributes and methods, objects should be created. Objects should be created, and through the object the attributes can be accessed. So through the object the methods can be accessed only through the object. So if you are creating any class, so we have to, in order to access the attributes or methods of the class, an object should be created, and through the object only we have to access the attributes and methods. So how to create an object? Just similar to our structures, the class name followed by object name. Class name followed by object name. Object name is created. Through the object, the attributes and methods can be accessed. Right? So I will give you a small example and then we'll go with the execution part. So I'm creating a class teacher. So character name, int experience, void display. Here we can write name is equal to some Sundeep, experience is equal to some 13, and close. And class should be closed with a semicolon, just like a structure. And after completion of this, we have to write the main function. So void main. So here we have to give the scope of these variables as a public. So in the next session, I will give you the explanation of these control specifiers: public, private, and protected. Right? So we will just write down a public so that all the variables and functions will be public to all the classes, or inside the class and outside the class. So here we have to, in order to access this name and experience and this display function, we have to create an object for this teacher, and through that object we can access this one. So teacher T1. So T1 is an object for a teacher class. So T1 dot display, automatically this display function will be accessed. So in the absence of this T1, it will not work, because display is a function inside the class. So if the function is inside the class, that function can be accessed only with the help of object name. So these functions we call it as a member functions, and these are the member variables. Okay, class members and member functions. Right? In order to access these variables or methods, we have to create an object, and through the object only we have to access the variables. Right? So hope you understood these classes and objects, how to create a class and how to create an object, and what are the contents available in the class right now, till now. So variables and methods. In order to access the variables and methods, we have to create an object. Right? Now we'll see the implementation part of this class and objects. Hello friends. So just now we have seen the introduction to classes and objects. So now we will see the implementation of these classes and objects, the working of this class. So C++ also supports this object oriented programming. So we can write the class. So we have to give the class name. So let it be, the class name is demo, and here you can pass the parameters, or simply we can write the class name as a student, and here we can write the attributes or member variables and also functions inside the class. So here we can we have to use the access specifiers. As I have said earlier, there are 3 access specifiers supported in C++, that is public, private, and protected. See, if you are not mentioning this public, this access specifier as public, so all the variables will be in a private mode. So what's the difference between the public, private and protected? So what actually happens when the variables are in a public or declared in private mode or declared in protected mode? So the major difference is scope of the variable. So where we have to use the variables. So if it is a public, those variables are the functions. So we can use the public for both the variables and the functions. So if the variables and member functions are public, then those variables and functions can be accessed inside the class as well as the outside the class. Outside the class means inside the main function also. And if it is declared as a private, then those member functions or those variables can be only used within the class itself. So those variables or functions cannot be used outside the class. Coming to the protected, here it is also similar to our private access specifier, but this can be used in inheritance. That means in the inheritance concept, the variables and functions can also be used in derived class, in the base class and derived class, right? Yes. Now let us write the public character name int r number, right? Now I'll write the main function. Also we can write the function here. We'll write the function also, void display, similar to our structure. Inside the class, right? Coming to the main function here, so if you want to access the name, roll number and the display, we have to create an object for the student, and through that object we have to access the name and roll number. Just what happened in this structures concept. The structure also, in order to access the members of a structure, we have to create the variable, structure variable, and then through the structure variable only we have to access the methods, functions or the variables. So here also same, but here we are declaring it as a class. So here we can use the control specifiers so that data can be hidden. So here I am creating the object for the class with the help of this one. So cout, enter name, cin yes dot name, cout, enter r number, cin yes dot r number, and then simply you can write yes dot display and cout name yes dot name, r number, right? Now let us save this one, class.cpp, save this. So we are having, yes, there are no header files, we have not included any header file here. So hash include iostream.h hash include conio.h. Too many types in declaration. So here we have to keep the semicolon that ends the class. So statement missing the semicolon. Here once again we have missed the semicolon. Right, now let us execute this one. So enter name. So again I am giving Sundeep. Enter R number. Again I am giving 523. Now you can observe the result. Inside the class name Sundeep, R number 523. Yes. So similar to our structure, a class can be implemented. The difference is here we can use the access specifiers, the control specifiers. Is a public, private or protect. If you are not giving anything here, by default it will be as a private. See, as this is the public, so these variables and the methods can be accessed outside the main, outside the class also. So in the outside the class, that means inside the main function we are accessing the methods and this one. See, if you created here private, we can't access, sorry, right. So if you compile, you'll get an error. Student name is not accessible, R number is not accessible, display is not accessible, because these variables and functions are declared in a private scope. That means data is hidden. So these can be accessed only inside the class itself. See, here you can write here see out enter the name, right. Right. See, now here I'm completely removing all these things and just I'm calling this function, and again here I'm removing all these things, and see, this name is private, R number is private, so these can be accessed only inside the class itself. Also this display is also inside the private. So again we'll get the error because we are using this display inside the main function, that means outside the class, which is declared as a private. So if you change the scope of this method as a public, see, private, these two variables are in a private, and public, the method is in public. Now the display function will be what? See, you can observe here, enter the name Sundeep 523, and you can observe here, see, name is Sundeep, R number 523, because these name and R numbers are a private, so are in a private scope. That means these variables can be accessed only inside the class, so they cannot be used outside the class. So in main function we can't access this name and R number. Even though we are creating the object for a class, we can't access this name and R number because the scope of these variables will be in private. And coming to this display function, we have changed this scope as a public. So display function is a public, so this function can be used inside the class as well as outside the class. So outside the class means outside the class with the help of the object created for this particular class. So in the main function I have created an object for the class S, and I am calling this function with the help of object s.display. So obviously this function will be executed because the scope of this function is public, right? So similarly there is another control specifier called protect. So I will explain that protect after completion of the inheritance concept, because if any variable or a function is given as a protected, then the variables and functions can be accessed only inside the class as well as in the derived class. So inheritance concept means derived class and base class. In such situation, we can use the members and functions which are created in a scope protected in both the derived class and base class, but not in the outside of the class, right? So hope you understood this is simple class and object and these access specifiers. So if you are having any doubts regarding this one, feel free to post your doubts in the comment section, so that definitely I will try to clarify all your doubts. And if you are really understood my sessions, like my sessions, share my sessions with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much.